in the past few days. Late last week, Senator Millen Young's office sent out a press release accusing the administration of inappropriately reaching out to her mother regarding pension monies the government owes while the ArcLight negotiations were happening. Millen Young called it reprehensible. The statement came after Governor Mapp condemned Millen Young's mention of the same topic during ArcLight deliberations at the Senate. More than $600,000 is owed by the government to Graciela Millen as part of the government's pension payments for former Lieutenant Governor Henry Millen. That's from 1983 until his death in 2004. Governor Mapp's response to Senator Millen Young's press release was briefly posted on social media and then taken down. It caused a ruckus because it used words that many said were below the office of the governor, but some of those words he reiterated during an interview this weekend.
To take that situation, knowing the facts of this case, and write a press release that I am holding the pension monies of her father hostage because of her vote is nothing short of a crazy person.
According to Mapp, in November, the senator kept herself abreast of the situation. The governor also said that Millen Young should be aware that the legislature would have to approve those monies because they're not in the current budget. Senator Millen Young's office could not be reached for comment on Monday. Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
And as of news time, we have not heard from Senator Millen Young's camp. We will continue to reach out and will update you on any further statements. In crime reports, an exchange of gunfire at a nightclub on St. Thomas left individuals dead over the weekend. Police are still sifting through evidence and investigating the shootout at Eclipse Lounge, and they're asking the community to step forward with any information. News2's April Knight has more.
Eclipse Lounge on St. Thomas was open for business again on Monday, 2 days after a night of partying at the club turned bloody over the weekend. 2 men were dead and 1 was injured during an exchange of gunfire.
The 2 victims that were shot were in altercation with other people. During the altercation, the witnesses at the event said that 2 shots were fired, and that's when they noticed that one of the individuals fell to the ground. And then after that, the second victim that was injured in this incident started firing shots randomly towards the nightclub.
That was when a security guard fired back. Police said 2 gunshots were confirmed in the initial shooting between the victims. They could not confirm on Monday how many shots were fired in the secondary shooting involving the security guard.
No record of exactly how many shots were fired. It just said that there were sporadic random shots that were shot toward the nightclub.
According to preliminary investigations, the gunfire occurred outside of the establishment, but police could not say whether it all started within the club.
And then there was a 3rd victim also in this incident. He was standing at the front of the nightclub when the shooting occurred, and that's when he realized that he was shot.
The identity of the 2 victims killed are being withheld pending notification of kin. Police said investigations are ongoing. There were several witnesses to the incident, and they're still gathering statements. Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
And anyone with information about this incident, you can notify Major Crimes at 714-9823, Criminal Investigation Bureau at 714-9807, or Crime Stoppers or the Chief's Office at 774-2211. Friday, January 8th at 11:57 a.m., members of the Economic Crime Unit executed an arrest warrant for Bianca Emile, 24, of Castleburg, who was charged with grand larceny, obtaining money by false pretense, and fraudulent use of a credit card. Now, these charges stem from the month of May 2015 when Bianca Emile withdrew a total of $1,575 from several automatic teller machines, ATMs, utilizing an ATH card without the permission of the actual cardholder, and was later identified by the cardholder via an ATM surveillance camera. Bianca Emile was booked and remanded to the Bureau of Corrections after failing to post bail set at $35,000. Roy DeGale, a 34-year-old man of Little Princess St. Croix, was arrested on Saturday, January 9th at 5:34 a.m. and charged with possession of an unlicensed firearm. Bail for DeGale was set at $25,000. Unable to post bail, he was remanded to the Bureau of Corrections pending an advice of rights hearing. Also on Friday, January 8th, Long Edwards, 33 of Savannah, and Shamoy Charleswell, 22 of Bolongo, were both arrested and charged with possession of an unlicensed firearm. Edwards was arrested after he was found in possession of an unlicensed firearm, a .40 caliber Smith & Wesson, and magazine containing 9 rounds. Charleswell was observed reaching for his weapon under his shirt and then threw the weapon approximately 6 feet away from his body. Bail for Edwards and Charleswell was set at $25,000 each by order of the court, and they were remanded to the Bureau of Corrections pending their advice of rights hearing. The Virgin Islands Police Department is requesting the assistance of the general public in locating Aussie Camille Constant. Aussie Camille Constant is a felon wanted for second-degree burglary. Constant is a 31-year-old black male and has been described as light brown complexion, short-cropped black hair, brown eyes, stands at 5 feet 10 inches and weighs 180 pounds. The VIPD warns that if you come in contact with Constant, approach him with caution. Anyone with information concerning Constant is asked to phone the Domestic Violence Unit at 340-712-6026, 911, or Crime Stoppers USVI. That number is 1-800-222-8477. Leslie Ann Yearwood, a 32-year-old woman of Estate Pearl, was arrested at 11 a.m. on Saturday, January 9th, and charged with second-degree burglary. Yarwood was arrested in connection with an incident that occurred earlier on that Saturday at 10:37 a.m., where she entered the residence of her former boyfriend located in Estate Strawberry without his permission. No bail was set for Leslie Ann Yarwood, and she was remanded to the Bureau of Corrections pending her advice of rights hearing. And turn our attention overseas. In exactly 3 weeks, the first votes will finally be counted. Iowans will kick off what could be a long presidential primary battle. Steve Nannis has the latest from today's campaign rallies.
Hillary Clinton's once commanding lead in Iowa now appears to be all but gone, thanks to a late surge from her chief rival.
I think we have an excellent chance to win here.
A new NBC Wall Street Journal Marist poll shows Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders is statistically tied with Clinton, trailing by only 3%. Sanders holds 3 separate events on Monday in the Hawkeye State.
Maybe we should have an economy that works for all of the people, not just a handful of billionaires.
A win for Sanders in Iowa, followed by a win in New Hampshire, where he and Clinton are also neck and neck, could put Clinton's nomination hopes in danger.
We've got 3 weeks until the caucus.
On Monday, the former Secretary of State welcomed an endorsement from Transportation Secretary Anthony Foxx, an endorsement she accepted while campaigning in Iowa.
And Iowa will have the first chance in the nation to express your views about who we want to be president.
Meanwhile, on the Republican side,
I love polls when I'm winning.
Donald Trump held a morning rally in New Hampshire where he holds a commanding lead over Ted Cruz. Trump went after the Texas senator, once again questioning his citizenship.
But Ted Cruz has a problem because the question is he a natural-born citizen?
In Iowa, it's another story. A new Quinnipiac University poll has Trump at 31%, Cruz nipping at his heels at 29%. In Washington, I'm Steve Nannis reporting.
Well, it's keeping our eye on the economy. A CNN poll states the U.S. economy could keep growing until 2020, although it's a scary time for the global economy. China is suffering a scary slowdown, Latin America is imploding, and geopolitical threats are on the rise, and the U.S. stock market is off to its worst start to the year. Here are 2 reasons they say why. Fundamentals are looking solid. The U.S. added about 200,000 jobs a month in 2015, its second best year, and fewer Americans are drowning in debt. Well, let's take a look at the stock market watch at the New York Stock Exchange. Taking a look at those numbers there. You can see the Dow up 51, NASDAQ down 5, S&P 500 also up at 1. Well, coming up on News 2, after a board meeting last Friday, a decision was made to go forward with some renovations at the Virgin Islands Housing Authority. We'll have an update on affordable housing. Welcome back. Just a reminder, Governor Kenneth Mapp will give the State of the Territory address on Monday, January 25th, before a formal session of the legislature at 6:30 p.m. And the following day, Tuesday, January 26th, be sure to tune in for team coverage as we recap the address and get reactions and comments. Again, the address begins at 6:30 live, and that's on Monday, January 25th. American Legion National Commander Dale Barnett will be visiting the American Legion 10th District on St. Croix on January 14th to 15th. He will be meeting with Legionnaires from all posts within the Virgin Islands at the Myron G. Danielson American Legion Post number 85, headquarters in Christiansted, at 9 a.m. Dale Barnett of Douglasville, Georgia, was elected National Commander of the 2.2 million member American Legion on September 3rd, 2015 in Baltimore during the 97th National Convention of America's largest veterans organization. The National Commander is the Chief Executive Officer and official spokesman of the American Legion, with full power to enforce provisions of the organization's constitution, bylaws, and resolutions. Affordable housing applicants and tenants will be impacted by two motions passed by the Virgin Islands Housing Authority Board of Commissioners. Residents of the Williams Delight Villas on St. Croix will receive repairs, and vacant homes in the community will be boarded up to prevent hoarding and safeguard tenants until financing has been secured to revitalize the buildings in Williams Delight. Here's more.
The Virgin Islands Housing Authority Board of Commissioners met on Friday, January 8th, and passed two motions that will provide assistance for affordable housing tenants on the island of St. Croix. The motion will allow for the planning of construction of Phase 3 at the Louis E. Brown Villas,
Updated. While the Masters of Jazz were in town recently, thanks in part to the United Jazz Foundation and USVI Department of Education, Dion Parson continued on with his Mentoring Through the Arts of Music program, and this time he brought along some of his friends to include the world-famous John Faddis, Sean Jones, and the John Faddis Quartet, while the trumpeters were in town to entertain jazz and music lovers at a concert which took place at the Prior Gillette Hall at Antilles School here in St. Thomas. The day of the concert, Faddis Parson and crew took time out to give back by offering a free clinic to the youth of the territory. During the clinic, the group gave students not only jazz lessons, but life lessons as well.
So when Dion told me that he was doing Mentoring Through the Arts, count me in. Because I was mentored by some of the greatest musicians ever. And I try to pass on some of the knowledge that I gained from them.
This is a good way to educate our kids, promote our culture, and bring the community together. And so that's what I'm really happy about.
The group also met with music teachers of the territory in hopes of assisting them in fine-tuning their lesson plans and music technique, thanks to the United Jazz Foundation and Atafa Remain for that footage. Well, be sure to stick around. Your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.